Yeah, kudos. You built a hell of a machine. We're getting outside today. Hello? Hello? Alright, thanks for clicking on this video. Interesting one today. The tale of two cub cadets. I'm not sure what I'll title this video. You'll know before me. But it's probably, are all cub cadets junk? Are all cub cadets created equal? We're at the end of the season. I've used both these mowers for the full season, as you can see by the leaves. Windy today. Hopefully we get some clean audio. I'll try my best. So this one is the first Cub Cadet I bought. Liked it, used it a lot. Probably 1,000 hours on it. I don't know, because the hour meter resets when the battery dies on the off season, right? If we disconnect it. And got this Cub Cadet this season. Used it, bought it, both bought used. This one had about 500 hours on it. Yeah, there is a difference. And I mean, maybe just looking at these two, the difference is obvious. But, you know, some things are harder to tell than others. And it's on the, you know, a quick look doesn't say it all. But at this point, I don't know the price difference between these mowers. I mean, this is definitely a more expensive unit, a more commercial unit. You know, you're paying more. This is more of a residential unit. You know, to use this for commercial lawns like I do, it's maybe a stretch. But you know, we all know Cub Cadets are made by MTD. I mean, at least that's what we think we know. I mean, fairly certain this one actually says MTD on it. I'm not sure about this one. And I can do a little research and add it to this video. But, you know, just, you know, let's take our time, let's have a good look. You know, we can point out some differences. It may help you in choosing a mower, whether you're getting a Cub Cadet or not. And just, you know, things to look for. And is the extra price worth it? So, number one, let's look at these front ends, these spindles. So, I'm not sure if the camera, you're seeing sizes, but these spindles here on the Black Dur Cub Cadet is at least twice the size, twice the length, and thicker. We can use science. I'm going metricized. Not hugely accurate, but oh boy. 42 mil, 1.6 inches. Can you see that? 2.3, 2.4 inches in girth. I mean, considerable, if that's important to you. The actual, let's hang on. The actual steel in the wheel in mils, 8.9. Oh no, we're a little lighter. We're about 0.5 millimeter lighter. No, maybe a bit lighter. Not huge, but I mean, moving on the decks, obvious. This is a stamped steel deck. This is a welded and bent steel deck on a metal brake. You know, these are quicker to manufacture. They just stamp them out, but they are weaker, and it is thinner steel. Again, we can measure. Bring in. I'm seeing 3 millimeters, where on here, on this deck, I'm seeing 3 point, oh boy, oh, there, yeah, over a 0.5 millimeter thicker, which, you know, is something. Power units. We got a 22 horsepower Cowie versus a 24 horsepower Kohler. You know, just a little extra, a little beefier, right? I can tell you, using these mowers, this one cuts grass like an absolute maniac. Now that can come down to blades. Maybe this, I have more of a mulching style blade on this. I mean, to be honest, this does chew up the grass a little more. But I mean, if you're going through heavy, tall grass, the speed, even the speed of this mower is quick. Is quick. And you may have noticed this is a 48-inch deck. I don't know if it says it on here anywhere. But trust me, 48-inch deck versus, and we see it though, 50-inch deck. I mean, not a huge. 2 inches is not a big deal at this size, but oh, there we go. 48. So, you know, there's a difference. This cuts faster. There's no doubt about it. Controls. Controls are a little different. If I'm going to try to point out if you know, there's slop here now, right? The bushings in here have worn out. It's something not easily repairable. It still works, but you know, there's slop, there's play. That's how much play we have. I mean, 1,000 hard hours. This, I mean, 5, almost 600 hours, but I mean, we're seeing a little bit of play in the back and forth, but in this direction, nothing. And then when it's in the lock position, it's tight. There's I'm moving it, but it's not like play. So super tight. I mean, the mechanisms are different for each mower, but just you know, way beefier over here. How they lift up the deck is different. I mean, you know, you lock in your heights and that's it. I mean, super simple. Whereas this is just you know, it's just built into the mower. You know, nicely integrated. It's not on the outside like that one, but it's actually, if you go over a bump, it's not hard to slip these out. It's an issue. There's a spring that holds it in, but you know, if you get some movement on that deck, it can happen. So, I mean, we can get more into it. I'm not sure if I have a conclusion for you, but you know, clearly at this point you can tell, you should be able to tell that this mower on the left is much heavier duty than the mower on the right. And they're both Cub Cadets. So you know, it's draw your own conclusions, right? When I review Cub Cadets, I get comments, you know, oh, they're garbage. These $10,000 mowers, $20,000 mower brands are way much better. Well, yeah, of course it is. I mean, this is a $3,000 lawnmower, right? This is maybe a $5,000 lawnmower. I'll try to get you some exact pricing, but I mean, yeah, but for the residential guy, is this enough? Is this enough for you? Is that extra, you know, $2,000, maybe $1,500, worth it for this level of mower? This definitely cuts quicker, but I mean, maybe you can tell I'm holding back a bit of the truth. I like this mower on the right. It actually cuts better. It's a weird thing, but I want to point out a couple things. This front axle, I mean, it says pivot axle, but it does have a pivot point right in here. And this mower is actually, it's not sitting on level ground, and see, we gotta, you know, I mean, you're maybe saying that's not a huge deal, but this mower tends to ride uneven surfaces better. And then if you may have saw me with a deck. Can we get that over here? Look how this deck pivots, right? So it'll float over the lawn, whereas this deck, it's up on its highest setting. Nothing. Fixed. Solid. This is just like a, you know, maybe you want that. Maybe you want a tank. But you will gouge the living hell out of your lawn if it's uneven. You know, it's something you need to be prepared for. But it is a tank. Now, with that, with all these pivot points, they're, you know, weaker areas where the deck, you know, it's just all over the place, right? All these pivots. Can we take you down here? Maybe a little hard to see. If I can bring in, but you know, everywhere. Where's my hand? Everywhere in here, you can't see, but all these pins, they're starting to get hollowed out, and it's just, the deck is getting loose in there. You know, we got tons of these nice, I think 4 of these nice idlers here, plastic idlers, but they're just hinged on this one piece of metal. So you will hit these on something, they'll bend out of shape. Whereas here we got, you know, double. There's only 2 wheels. It's all it needs because it's not floating. But you know, they're held in place with 2 hunks of metal. So it's going to take a lot more abuse. So it's, you know, if something to consider. You're going to want to hear them. They've been running. They might need some choke. Half throttle. Do I have to be sitting? Let's get a little choke. Probably blowing the mic out, but starts and runs nice, like a Kohler should. Leaking a little oil, like a Kohler should. But you know, maybe that's a maintenance issue on my part. You know, I'll let you be the judge. We'll fire this guy up. Choke is on this side. And the throttle, but the key's on this side, so it's kind of a double-handed affair. Oh, neutral position. No. Oh, parking brake. Not all your zero turns have that, hey? This one doesn't, is you just have to have the handles out. Choke off, choke. Whoa. Runs nice. Never touched a wrench to it. Just change the oil. You know, no complaints about this Cowie. This mower's a little quieter than this mower. You know, that's maybe a consideration. But yeah, we're gonna get a little more into it. But yeah, still no opinion here. But the left is definitely a better mower. I like it more. But how is it possible the cheaper Cub Cadet mows nicer? And of course that's, you know, subjective. That's just me. Faster, better quality. Could be in the blades too. Different blades. This is, I think, fairly sure this has got a high lift blade in it. That's what came with it, and this is maybe a more mulching style blade. But all right, we'll wrap this portion up. All right, I wanted you to get a closer look at these decks. So headphone users, beware. 3, 2, 1. Come back here. What do we have? Oh, there's another one. One more bolt. But I took this one off. Rat's nest. Not by a rat. So this may be an issue for you. That might not happen over here. Look at these designs. Let's keep going. Dirty. Okay, let's have a look at these blades again. Yellow Cub on the right, black Cub on the left. Cheap one, not a cheap one. So it's hard to compare apples and peaches and crabs and stuff like that, but these, you know, as close as we can get, these lawnmowers have all cut the same lawns, same material, same heights. You know, nothing's ever even, but there is a difference in the buildup, the cheese inside these decks. I mean, yee. Okay. So, and then the blades themselves. Can we get an accurate? Yellow is, we got about 1.9 or a 0.19 inch. Black, depending where. You know, it's about 0.5 millimeter thicker. And then just the overall three inches in, what is that, depth versus 2.5 inches in depth. You know, this bigger, beefier blade. Okay, closer look at these spindles. Now, this is solid design. most likely not serviceable. If you're smarter than me, you can probably figure out a way to get into these and service them if you get any issues. Now, look, I've looked all around this side, everywhere. There is nowhere to grease these spindles. But they, just 4 bolts that come out, replace it. $100 and whatever later. Now this is the black Cub Cadet. You're going to see this spindle is much longer. Oh, the deck is so heavy. Much beefier. And I can take you in there. There is a Zerk fitting just beyond focus. I was touching it. But it is greasable and fairly accessible. And now you got to be careful with these spindles when you take the blade off, especially if it's tipped this way, because the bearing and the seal, the point to what we're looking at here. The bearing, can we get you in there? Bearing and the seal are right there. If you got a bad bearing, pop, you'd have to have the bearing, but pop that out, potentially even in the field, and repair this spindle for $20 or whatever that bearing and seal costs. So, yeah, that's something that might be important to you. Okay, something else to point out is where these decks get attached, and can you hear it? Not the heaviest of metal. Obviously the deck's never fallen off on me in 1,000 hours, but it is getting, buggered out, right? Like it may be an issue. This deck, can I get you in here? Yeah, wow. It's steel. I mean, how thick is that? It's just, maybe strap. Maybe that's overkill, but it's a huge difference. I mean, something I forgot to show you is the hydro drives. This is the next day, but we started editing the video, and this is actually probably the most important choice here is the kind of hydro drives. And I mean, these are just your basic starter level, nothing too fancy. As far as I know, there's nowhere to drain the oil out of these. Or I think you can add oil. It's a little tougher, but you'd have to split the case to drain it. And it's just something to consider. So this is of course I should be calling these the RST. This is the RST model. Sorry, RZT Cub Cadet, and it's the yellow paint one. It's still in the corner of shame, but now the black, the more black Cub Cadet, the Z-Force. Can we get the same angle down here? Now, I can try to put these side by side in the edit, but much more significant size of hydrostatic drive. I'm pretty sure I'm seeing a drain plug there right in the middle of the frame, but also I'm gonna try to get you a better angle here. But in the center of the frame, you're looking at a oil filter. Both hydro drives have oil filters. And then to boot, a oil reservoir. You can check the level, check the color, and service your hydro drive. Now, of course, the manual says you never have to service. I don't agree. I mean, this is me. I'm just some guy who has a few lawnmowers. But I would say after 500 hours, you might want to consider changing that hydraulic fluid just for longevity. Now, they take motor oil. There's no chance of contamination with gasoline, and there's less heat with an engine. I would service it like you would service a rear end in a car, or a transaxle, or even a transmission, right? There's definitely metal on metal wear, and a lot of metal on metal wear. There's, specifically with the hydrostatic, like I think the swash plate, it's just cast iron on cast iron. There's no bearings, like sacrificial bearings, like in an engine. So it's just the thin film of oil, and it definitely can break down. And I think changing it, what I'm going to do, it will aid that. But all right, one more thing to consider. So, I mean, I probably made my point. I mean, this mower is better built. There's no question. Can you judge all Cub Cadets by the yellow, I would admit, cheap Cub Cadet? The corner of shame. But no, you can't. This is a well-made machine. This handles like a machine, a zero turn that that people, the Dear John machine. That's people like to get crazy for that green paint. Yeah, it's sacrilege maybe to some people, but when I ride this, that's what it feels like. I don't know who builds it, but if MTD builds it, kudos to them. MTD. Yeah, kudos. You built a hell of a machine. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. No question about it. Now, comment. And of course, thanks for watching.